Buddhism Literacy Check. Buddhism. Buddhism is the religion based on the teaching of the Buddha. He was born Siddhartha Gautama in what is now Nepal, sometime in the 6th to the 4th century BCE. He was said to have been a prince in a noble family. He grew up in a palace away from aging, sickness, or death. Gautama left the palace for the first time at age 29. Outside, he saw suffering. He saw a monk who seemed peaceful. Gautama decided to give up his wealth and become a monk. He wanted to learn how the monk could be so peaceful when surrounded by suffering. Gautama left home in search of the truth. While sitting, meditating under a tree, he became enlightened, free from desire and suffering. He became the Buddha, meaning enlightened one. He began sharing what he learned. His followers became the first Buddhist order, or Sangha. The Buddha sent them out to spread his message. The Buddha traveled around, converting many people on the way. The Buddha did not write down his teachings, but they spread by word of mouth. Buddha is said to have died at age 80 in India. Beliefs. There is no single sacred book of Buddhism. All Buddhists share beliefs based on the teachings of the Buddha, known as the Four Noble Truths. The first truth is that life is made up of pain and suffering. All living things experience sickness, old age, and death. The second truth is that this suffering is caused by a person's selfish desires or wants. The third truth is that people can be free of these desires. And the fourth truth is that the way to overcome pain and suffering is through the Eightfold Path. Buddhists believe in the idea of reincarnation or rebirth. This cycle of birth, death, and rebirth is called samsara. According to Buddhism, the goal of life is to escape from this cycle and stop being born as an individual with selfish desires. Escape from the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth is called nirvana. The way to achieve nirvana in Buddhism is by following the Eightfold Path. Buddhism has three main parts called the Triratna, or the three jewels. The first jewel is the Buddha, or the teacher. The second jewel is the Dharma, or the teachings. And the third jewel is the Sangha, or the community of believers. Buddhist followers believe the three jewels protect them in the world. Practices. All Buddhists must follow the Eightfold Path. It teaches that people should not have too much luxury and pleasure in their lives. They should also not go without all comforts. Instead, people should follow a middle or balanced course in their lives. The Eightfold Path is known as the middle way. The first step in the Eightfold Path is right knowledge. The second step is right aspiration, a person's commitment to following the Eightfold Path. The third step is right speech, which involves speaking kindly to others. The fourth step is right behavior, including laws that forbid bad behavior. The fifth step is right livelihood. This step involves choosing a job that supports life and goodness instead of making a lot of money. The sixth step, right effort, involves stopping one's selfish wants. The seventh step, right mindfulness, is being aware of one's thoughts. The final goal of the Eightfold Path, right concentration, is to enter a state of nirvana. Not everyone is able to reach nirvana, but every practicing Buddhist is at least on the path toward enlightenment. Spread. After Buddha's death, the monks in the Buddha's Sangha helped spread Buddhism throughout northern India. King Ashoka, an important ruler of an empire that covered most of South Asia, became Buddhist in the 200s BCE. He built many Buddhist monuments and monasteries to house monks. Buddhism spread throughout all of India. Trade brought Indian people and ideas into China. Through trade at the beginning of the 2nd century CE. Buddhist monks traveled with traders and spread Buddhism in China. Buddhism spread to Korea in the 4th century and to Japan in the 6th century. It continued to spread around the world after that. Divisions. Two major groups appeared among Buddha's followers many years after his death. There are many smaller branches of Buddhism throughout Asia today. They have different writings and languages and have shown up in different cultures. Theravada, meaning Way of the Elders, is one of the two major groups. It is the older and more conservative branch of Buddhism. Many people in Sri Lanka, Myanmar, Thailand, Laos, and Cambodia belong to this group. Theravada Buddhists focus on freeing themselves through improving their own lives. Mahayana is the other major group. It is popular in Mongolia, China, Japan, Korea, Vietnam, and Nepal. Mahayana Buddhists believe they can achieve enlightenment through a life of good work for others. Once they become enlightened, they can help others do the same. Places of worship. Buddhists worship at a temple in their own homes. Buddhist temples vary in appearance depending on where they are in the world. All Buddhist temples have an image or statue of the Buddha. Worshippers may sit on the floor and chant prayers or listen to monks chant. Buddhists worship in front of a shrine at home. A Buddhist shrine has a statue or picture of the Buddha. Buddhists may bring offerings of fruit or flowers and place them on the shrine. They light candles and incense while they sit quietly to worship. Monks and nuns live, work, study, and pray in monasteries. Buddhist monks and nuns use prayer, meditation, and other rituals to stay on the Eightfold Path. Monks and nuns live away from society in their monasteries in Theravada Buddhism. Monks and nuns vow to help larger communities to which they belong to as part of their path in Mahayana Buddhism. Festivals and celebrations. Buddhists celebrate many festivals. They are often celebrated differently by Theravada and Mahayana Buddhists. The three major events of the Buddha's life, his birth, enlightenment, and death, are commemorated by every Buddhist, not just always on the same day. Theravada Buddhists also practice Vasa, a 3-month retreat during the rainy season, from July to October. A person lives like a monk for a short time. A big celebration takes place at the end of Vasa. Mahayana Buddhists remember Buddha's birth on April 8th. His enlightenment is remembered on December 8th, and his death on February 15th. Buddhists also celebrate New Year's and harvest festivals according to local customs and traditions. In China and Japan, Buddhists have an All Souls festival to remember the dead and bring them to peace. What is the main reason Siddhartha Gautama decided to become a monk? A. His father was a monk. B. He was tired of suffering. C. He wanted to become enlightened. Or D. He was orphaned. What is the main reason Siddhartha Gautama decided to become a monk? What is Dharma? A. The teacher. B. The teachings. C. The community of believers. Or D. Enlightenment. What is Dharma? How does a Buddhist achieve nirvana? A. By following the Eightfold Path. B. By attending worship services at temples. C. By becoming a monk. Or D. By meditating in front of a shrine. How does a Buddhist achieve nirvana? Why was King Ashoka important to Buddhism? A. He was Buddha's father. B. He wrote down the Eightfold Path. C. He built many monuments and monasteries that spread Buddhism. Or D. He helped protect the Buddha from his enemies. Why was King Ashoka important to Buddhism? What is another name for the Eightfold Path? A. The middle way. B. Samsara. C. Dharma. Or D. Enlightenment. What is another name for the Eightfold Path? How did Buddhism spread to China? Buddha traveled there to speak to people. B. The Chinese traded with Indians. C. The Sangha traveled to China to spread Buddhism. Or D. The Chinese traveled to India to conquer the land there. How did Buddhism spread to China? Which of the following is part of the Eightfold Path? A. People should try to gain as much wealth as they can. B. People should only worry about themselves. C. People should challenge laws. Or D. People should speak kindly to others. Which of the following is part of the Eightfold Path?